I was like, there was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and there was people.
Dakota, I want to see.
Soda boom, chicka boom. Soda boom, chicka boom. Oh, soda boom, chicka boom. Oh, soda boom, chicka boom. Oh, soda boom, oh, chicka rock, chicka rock, chicka boom. Oh, soda boom, chicka rock, chicka boom. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. One more time. Oh, yeah.
Everybody say hi. Hi. That was weak. Come on, people. I gotta get video of that. Get a little video in here.
It was just a sweet rolls, lemonade water. She asked for that. Yep, chicken sauce sandwich.
So 2 days ago, Cedar planted potatoes and onions out here, kind of hoping that the chickens wouldn't get in here and tear things up, but they have done what chickens do. And basically my job is to figure out how to keep these chickens off our front porch and also have a dog yard where we can lock our dogs up outside of the house when we happen to have company, something like that. We're about 36 hours away from Cedar's parents showing up to spend about a week with us. And then we're about, 72 hours maybe away from our oldest son, Rhett's, getting married. And we're gonna have a whole bunch of people around here in the next week or so. And it would be ideal to do 2 things. It would be ideal to be able to have a dog yard, like I said, where I can put the dogs outside of the house and they don't run off. That's the main thing, is we've had issues with Ruby running off since she was just a little puppy, and she still does it. So, but I also need to keep the chickens off the front porch, and I also want to tie Cedar's garden into this whole thing. I think part of the reason we don't take the garden any more serious than we do is because of this reason. It's always been vulnerable to either animals or to chickens. So if I can build some sort of a fence around the front yard as well as the garden that would keep the animals out and the dogs in, that's the goal, and I've got about 36 hours to get this done. So here we go. It seems like we're always caught somewhere in the middle of having a great flock of chickens or having a great garden. And at the moment we've got about 24 chickens that like to scratch anything and everything they possibly can. But it's not just the chickens. We've had the wild turkeys scratching through our garden in the past as well. And like I said, we're going to have a lot of people around this weekend, so it would be great if we could have a safe place for the dogs to go at the same time. I happen to have a few leftover gates and some field fence, so the expense shouldn't be too bad on this. This gate is about 7 inches wider than it needs to be, and I guess I could make it work like it is, but it would look better and fit better if I took those 7 inches out. There's always an expense of some kind around here, especially as we're building some of these bigger pens, and I always look for opportunities to save money where I can. And removing 7 inches from this gate as opposed to replacing it with a new one is a quick and easy way to save a few bucks. And when it comes to saving a few bucks, if you pay attention to the posts that I'm using for this fence around the yard here, these were posts that were once used to support trees that I bought a few years back to make fencing out of, and I think this is the second or third place I've now used these posts. What am I doing?
So, you basically like hold away from there. For some reason it's twisted.
Okay, hold the basket. Which one, on this?
The one's right there and one for down by that bush.
Hold tight. Well, this is our first opportunity to try out the flower boxes that I built last year for the front of the house here. I love that my lovely wife Cedar loves flowers, and I will do my best to have all the flowers we possibly can around here at Red Poppy Ranch. I personally hate field fence because I feel like no matter how you use field fence, there's a point in the not too distant future where that roll of field fence is going to end up in the back of your truck on the way to the dump. I don't know what else to say other than that. It just doesn't hold up very long. Animals know how to work their way through it. I would rather use a no-climb horse fence around the yard, but I have the roll of field fence. Once I get all the field fence stretched, I'm going to have to go back with a shovel and add some dirt in a few places to keep the chickens from getting in and the dogs from getting out. But the overall objective should be pretty easy to accomplish by simply keeping the dogs in and the chickens out. If the field fence doesn't hold the animals out and in, I may have to put a 2-foot piece of chicken wire around the bottom of the field fence, but I think if I can fill in those holes, the chickens will stay out.
A small but important request from this couple. This will be an unplugged ceremony.
Well, at this exact moment, our oldest son, Rhett, and his new wife, Brenna, are landing in the airport where they're going to spend the next week on their honeymoon. At this moment, we also have the cows being hauled up to do their summer grazing on the National Forest, which tells me we are smack dab in the middle of summer. As much as I enjoy working in the warmer weather, we're only a few days away from summer solstice. What that means is the days are going to start getting shorter already. It seems like the snow just melted yesterday. I've still got firewood to get piled up, and I've got lots of winter preparation that has to get done. But the single most important project that I have to get done this summer, no matter what, revolves around that large deer pen. At this moment, I need to do a little bit of dirt work on the new landing, and then I need to start setting posts and stretching fence as soon as I can. But before I start stretching fence, I need to make sure this garden is chicken proof. Once the upper deer pen is completely finished and the deer are comfortably doing their job foraging and chewing down all the grasses and the weeds, I can then start to focus on the 8-sided cabin again, as well as a few other projects around here that need to get done before we have snow on the ground. I'm still thinking about that 8-sided cabin on a pretty regular basis. I need to get that one going before we have snow. In a best case scenario, I would get the roof on the 8-sided cabin and get it somewhat dried in before we have snow on the ground, which is typically the end of December. Stay. About 10 years ago, when we moved up to this corner of Idaho, I heard about this place that had some of the best jerky on the planet. Matter of fact, I heard about it from my brother in Arizona. And he asked me if I had been out here to this place called Papa J's. And I said no. And he said, you should go. So from time to time, I'd run out here and pick up jerky. And over the years, I've gotten to know Rich, the owner. And when it came time to process one of our deer, when it came time to do what we did here in having our own jerky made, we knew there was really only one option. That was to come to Papa J's and have them handle everything. So that's what we did. So this is the original flavor, fallow deer jerky. The first time I have tasted fallow deer. Ruby. So original flavor. Ruby's giving me side eye. She wants some. That's jerky. That's the best jerky you're gonna get. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be hard not to eat. There was a saying I once heard about eating all your profits. And I can tell you, we're gonna eat the profits, aren't we, Rube? Let's go home, Ruby. That's real jerky. That is good stuff. Boy, I couldn't have timed that better. Rhett's wedding is tomorrow. They got this done in time for Rhett's wedding. I bet my family from Arizona puts a big dent in this. This is the very first batch of fallow deer jerky from the one and only Red Poppy Ranch.
2, 44, 37, 123, 1, 2, 3.
I am sitting out here in Cedar's garden trying to be alone with my thoughts for a minute before everybody starts showing up. We're probably less than 4 hours away from her parents showing up. They're going to be here for a week, I think. Our oldest daughter's going to be here tomorrow, my little brother. All the family's going to start showing up tomorrow. We're less than 48 hours away from the wedding. I've got jerky on the brain. I've got fallow deer on the brain. I'm just thinking about this little venture that we got ourselves caught up in and how best to do this. We have about 100 packages of 2 flavors, original and peppered, that Papa J's put together for us. Now let me first tell you about Papa J's. 10 years ago when we first moved here, actually before we moved here in Arizona, I heard about this place called Papa J's. My older brother told me as soon as we got moved and settled, I should find this place and get some jerky. And so that's what I did. I think within the first month or 2 after moving here, I drove out there and I got some jerky. And probably 3 times a year, I go out there and I buy jerky for me and I buy jerky for friends. Matter of fact, Cedar had me run out there and pick up 2 packages just the other day, one for my brother-in-law and one for my father-in-law, as gifts. Papa J's jerky is not cheap jerky. It's gourmet jerky. It's, I would argue, some of the best jerky you're gonna taste. So after eating Papa J's jerky for the last 10 years, I knew they were gonna be the source that we were going to go to when it came to our fallow deer. Rich also happens to watch our videos. I first met Rich a few years back when he bought that Trackster that I had. I believe I sold him that little Cushman Trackster that I had. And he's been great help. But part of the reason we sourced Papa J's to handle the deer meat for us was simply because we knew their standards were so high. This is fallow deer jerky that, frankly, if you tried to go online right now and find fallow deer jerky anywhere in the world, you're probably not going to find it, okay? It's never going to be available on a commercial scale. This is something we'll do maybe 2 or 3 times a year is all. So far, this is our first attempt at trying to turn our little off-grid homestead into a profitable farm, or at least a push in that direction. This is real whole meat jerky, okay? There's a slight possibility you might have a little chunk of fat in your jerky. There's a possibility there might be some gristle, something like that. If you don't like those 2 things, it may not be for you. But other than that, you probably wouldn't know. If I handed you a piece of this jerky and said, tell me where it came from, you probably wouldn't guess that it came from deer. So This is an opportunity for you guys to get a little piece of what we're doing here. 1 2-ounce package, $15. 2 2-ounce packages of each flavor, $27. We're paying for shipping either way. Okay, $4 to $5 of that is going to be shipping. So right off the top, we're not making a whole lot off of this. This is just an attempt to get some jerky out there. I can already see things I'm going to do different next time. Rich had some suggestions next time that we might do things a little bit different. It will not be available until next week. And by the way, thank you guys so much on the merch. I knew we were going to sell out of everything, and I literally think there's like 2 things left. And that means the world to us. You know, I hate talking about that stuff any more than I have to. I'm a bit more inclined to talk about jerky because I might believe in this jerky a little bit more than maybe a t-shirt or a hat. But anyway, next week, redpoppyranch.com, $15 for 2 ounces, $27 for 4 ounces. This would have been an amazing Father's Day gift if I was slightly smarter. I apologize. But a week late, fallow deer jerky from Red Poppy Ranch. Are you kidding me? Whoever you give that to, if they're one of our fans, they're going to be all about it. There's less than 100 packages. 1 week from today, redpoppyranch.com. Get yours while they last. Thank you guys again. As much as I love gardening, we're never going to be able to take it serious if I can't keep the chickens out. My hope is that once the fence has proven to be chicken proof, our garden will naturally get better and better and better as we trust that no animals are going to get in there and tear it up. Like most western states, these states were structured and set up by cattlemen, and Idaho is a fence-out state. So if I don't want somebody else's cows in my garden or in my front yard eating my grass, tearing things up, I gotta fence them out and fence them out well. Every year we've had somebody else's cow get into our garden at some point, it seems like. And hopefully, like the chickens, this will keep the cows out too. Once the fencing is completely done, Cedar and I will have to sit down and have a conversation about a greenhouse. Because the truth is we have pretty short growing seasons up here at Red Poppy Ranch, and a greenhouse would probably give us a month on the front end and maybe even a month on the back end. I've just about got it laid out, and I think everything's going to turn out exactly how I hoped it would, and the garden should be chicken proof. I'm sure I'll have to make an adjustment or two here and there, but I think we got this one whipped. We wanted to say thank you for checking in on us here at Red Poppy Ranch. On our next upcoming video, it's going to be all about this new deer pen. Congratulations one more time to Rhett and Brenna.